Morning, children of God. So good to have you all here. For those of you who thought that winter would never leave, today's the last day. Tomorrow starts spring, so take all your winter jokes. Get thee behind me. Right? Speaking of getting thee behind me, see, you knew I was going there, right? No one can be scared into health or into heaven. Need to think about that one a little bit. Bottom line, fear doesn't work. What does work is love. So, let's center and begin this celebration in love, in recognition of the presence. Oh, loving Father, Mother God, thank you for your presence, moving in and through us this day. This day we ask for your guidance and for your direction. This day we will choose to be open and receptive to your instruction. This day we come together in joy and in gratitude for the opportunity to worship, to sing, and to pray in the name, in the nature, and in the power of the Christ. Amen.
Today's daily word is awaken, and we're going to have the reading of the daily word by Joyce this morning.
Today is awaken, Sunday, March 19th, that's today. Awaken to spirit, I am blessed and a blessing. While asleep, I am being refreshed physically and mentally. When I awake, I have a greater awareness of my oneness with the world. I go about my day taking in and being responsive to other people and my surroundings. Prayer provides me with a clear view of God's presence in all and through all. And I will mention there, it's not in the book, but every day as I walk through the house, I always talk to God, not to Him, and that's just something that I do all the time, so I wanted to share that with you. I feel the joy of living a God-centered life. I hear the still small voice within and follow divine guidance. I understand that the diversity in people and in all creation is a gift with God. A gift from God, I'm sorry. Each new day is an invitation to fill the next 24 hours with faith. Awaken to spirit, I am blessed and a blessing. Besides this, you know what time it is. It is now the moment for you to wake from sleep, for salvation is nearer to us now than when we became believers. Romans 13:11.
We're going to enter into a time of prayer and meditation now. And in the pews, there are prayer slips. And if you know somebody who is in need of prayer, could be you, please feel it out. Feel it out too, but fill it out first. And put it in the prayer box so that we can join with you in whatever your challenges might be and see if we can't work on those with you. I want to add, as we begin today, our good friend Diane Koash. She fell a little bit. She fell a lot, but she needs a little bit of healing, so we'll work with her on that. And that's the first one that I'll put in. And as you think of people, as you look around you today, those who you haven't seen in a while that can use our prayer support, please feel free to add them in. And for them and for ourselves, we understand that the more often that we state with power and authority who we are, the more we can bring that vision into reality. So let's take our affirmation together. I am a child of the living God. I have within me the all-creating power of the Christ. It radiates from me and blesses all whom I contact. I am now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I am now in the presence. Let us rest into that as we join with Steve. I am. From your heart now. And having spoken these words of the truth of us, gently now and easily, we move to that place within us that Jesus called our inner closet, our secret place. It is that place within you where there is no question and there is no doubt. I am one with the divine. It is that place within you where you know that God is all, both visible and invisible. And this one that is all is perfect: life, love, intelligence, and substance. Man is, therefore I am, an expression of this one with perfect life, love, intelligence, and substance. I breathe in that breath of life. And as I exhale, I let go of all those things that no longer serve me. And I am grateful. As I enter in this day, I follow his instruction when he said, as you enter in, close the door. I close the door on those thoughts and feelings of what I should have done. I close the door on those thoughts and feelings of what I have yet to do this day. And for one holy moment, I rest, I breathe, and I listen. For in my prayers, I'm learning to ask believing. In the stillness and in the silence, answers come. Perhaps in the form of a word, peace, order, love. Perhaps in the vibration of the music which touches my soul. Regardless of how these gifts come to me this day, I know they come wrapped in love. On this day, in this moment, I choose to say yes. I reach out and claim these gifts. I immerse myself in them. As I do so, I know, regardless of appearance, I am there. Good is there. On this day, as I immerse myself in these gifts, each and every cell of my body responds. I am whole and free. Gratitude swells up in me. And as it does so, I remember I am a channel through which good flows into my world. This day, in this moment, I open that channel wide. From me, through me, good flows. First, into this room. Touching, healing, blessing, illumining each and every one of God's children. From me, through me, good flows. Into our community, wherever that might be this day. To our friends, right over the hill in Klamath Falls, in Northern California. Wherever you might be this day, we know God is there. From me, through me, good flows. Into our city, across our county, across our state, across our country. Touching, healing, blessing. And in this knowing, I am blessed. From me, through me, good flows. Around our world, throughout our universe. As I listen, I remember that in spirit and in truth, we are never separate one from the other. Somewhere, someone is saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, for in this moment, that which has come this day from you, through you, is gratefully received. And that gratitude swells up and returns to you. The circle of life, whole and complete. I breathe in it. I rest in it for one holy moment. Knowing there is more yet for me to do this day, but holding to this experience we have shared I gently and easily bring my attention back to this place, to this now. And from my heart, I join with you and pray as Jesus, our elder brother, has taught us when he said, "As for you, pray therefore in this manner." So our friends at home didn't notice anything wrong, but here in the chapel, the electronic gremlin struck once again. It worked out. We're here. I know what we were doing. We were just conserving energy. Is that a segue or what? No, it's not. Not a very good one. I'm sure there's a better one in there somewhere. Filter on. There we go. Yeah. Memory is not the first thing to go. I think it is. But speaking of memories, I want to say thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you who remembered to, as you walked down the aisle, to go 5, 10, all the way to 80, and then 20 people sitting. The reason I say that is, while our folks at home may not be able to see it today, there's only 2 rows that don't have somebody in them. Yeah. Well, see, some of you need to bring 4 friends, some only 2 or 3, some only 1, but you're close. Just keep holding the thought. That's what counts. Just keep holding the thought. Why? Because what we have to offer the world by our example and by our heart is really needed. I was sharing with Steve before we started this morning that themes show up in my life. I don't know why they do, they just do. And the theme that showed up the most in my life this week was people moving through, and the key word being through fear. Fear shows up all the time. Just jumps up in our face. And it affects us in a lot of different ways. And it's why I chose that saying for this morning, you can't be scared into health. You can't be feared into health or into heaven. So if fear is not going to work, then what does? Love does, right? We know it. The challenge sometimes is to then apply it. For those of you who haven't practiced this yet, try this on this coming week. Every time someone says something that hits every last one of your buttons at once, you know that button. Before you do anything else, breathe, then belly laugh as hard as you can. Now you're free to open your mouth about what you heard. I say that because that's what I have to do. There's so much stuff that comes at it. And again, it's based in fear. And I like to peel it back and just say, okay, can I take the fear out of this? Well, yeah, I can. It may take me a while to get there. And it's okay. But I need to remember, God is my source. God is my source in all things. And so when something comes at me, I can respond to it or I can react. I'm in the habit of reacting, and I need to shift that to responding. That's why I need to breathe and then laugh and then say, okay, what's next? I was telling Steve, for those of you who are on Facebook, you know that you can reply when other people put stuff up. And most of my replies have been starting this way. And I use Steve as an example because he's closest to me. See, if you were sitting closer, I could use you. And most of my responses are going something like this: Dear Steve, beloved of God, comma, and then whatever answer I intended to give. I want to start from a place where I want to let a little heat out, and then I can respond. Because you see, in heart to heart, we agree. From the truth of us, we agree. We're going to disagree about how we respond to our world. But from the truth of us, we're all one. And I just need to get to there. So you are going to see things differently than I do. Thank God. How boring would our world be if we all saw things the exact same way? However, just because you see something one way and I see it a different way doesn't make either of us right or wrong. It just makes us us. Right? And we need to remember that. Then I can laugh and take the next step forward on what I believe to be my path. Part of that structure of moving forward is what we're talking about today. And I love this. Mindfully using our spiritual resources. In other words, don't just do it, but mindfully do it. Pay attention. Right? I love this definition. Conservation is defined as a careful preservation of something. A metaphysical definition, the preservation of a physical quality during transformation. Right? We live in one world. Sometimes we get hung up, he said, raising his hand, in this notion of, pick either one, the argument works both ways. I am a human being having a spiritual experience, or I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Both statements are incorrect because they infer there are two, spiritual and physical. And there is only one. I am having this experience. Notice I did not say human or spiritual. I just said this. I am having this experience. I am having this experience. And if I don't like this experience, guess who gets to change it? Feel free to raise your hand. I get to change it. Now, it's not easy, but it's simple. Right? It's simple. I remember who my source is. God is my source in all things. Now, it may show up in a lot of different directions. Everything I need will show up from a lot of different directions when I'll allow it. This happens to me so often, and I wish there was a bumper sticker that applied really well, but it kind of does, and you just have to remember it. We are taught to ask believing. Ask believing, and it shall come to you. There's no maybe, if you ask believing, then maybe it'll show up. No. And it shouldn't be an if on that, Rob's word. It should be a when. When I ask believing, there's no doubt it's going to show up in my world. Okay, what do you need in your world today? Then that needs to be part of your focus on your prayer work. When do I need to pray? Try this on. All the time. We're taught, pray unceasingly. Why? Because so much stuff comes at me, I can get hung up in out here. And then I spend all my energy trying to deal with out there. Modifying it, trying to figure out what it means. Generally prefaced with, what did I do wrong? Right? Or am I the only one that thinks that? No, we've all thought that, right? No, so that's when you make the shift. I'm not wrong. I could be righter, but I'm not wrong. This is where I am right now. This is what I believe right now. This is the experience I'm living right now. That's when we begin our work. When something shows up in my world that is other than what I want to show up in my world, I have to remember to take the power away from the appearance and put it to work in the truth. This is the tool that we use, and it's one that gets challenged a lot because we have to rethink our words. This is where denial and affirmation comes in. Denial does not mean it didn't occur. Denial means this circumstance has no power over me. That's the denial. Now, as soon as I do that, I create a vacuum. And nature loves a vacuum so much that it fills it right now. And there's stories about what happens when we chase that demon away. It goes out and finds 7 of its friends and brings them all home. Hi there. No, I don't want that. That's why I need to fill it as soon as I get rid of that thing. Well, I want to fill it right now. That's the purpose of the affirmation. Okay, what do you want to show up in your world? And we ask it this way, and Steve and I were playing with this one a little bit this morning. One of the challenges that we have is that we have the tendency to start with, I need to do this. So I start from doing. May I humbly suggest you are not a human doing. What are you? I'm a human being. Ah, there's a hint. So I need to decide, who am I going to be in this moment? Who am I going to be? Am I going to be the truth of me? I am a beloved child of God. Do I believe that right here and right now? Or have I got a caveat in there? God, if you really knew I love it every time I think this. God, if you really knew what I did, like you could hide that, right? No. See, no matter what, God loves you. That's the key. And that's part of what Jesus came to teach us. God loves you no matter what, comma, however, you get to decide how to put that to work. And God's always going to love you no matter what. However, you need to remember what he said. Love your neighbors as yourself. Who do I need to love first? That would be me. I need to learn how to love me, warts and all. I need to learn how to forgive me for those errors, trespasses, debts, pick a word, doesn't matter what it is, that have been part of my experience. I need to forgive me. And as I do so, I replace it. Again, I don't replace the experience. That's one of those with all good intentions. Forgive and, how many of you said forget? That's a good intention phrase and wrong, in my humble opinion. Why? Because this doesn't forget. It's not wired to forget. Now, in the recollection, we may think that. Oh, I don't remember what I had for breakfast, much less, But it all goes in. See, these 5 senses that we have, and maybe more depending on who you talk to, take everything in all the time. There is no forgetting here. Okay? So I need to forgive and rethink. Forgive and rethink. Here's what I mean by that. Generally with forgiveness is an error, yes? An error is, how many of you want to say this? Bad. There is only one, and that one is good. Therefore, everything is good. other than my perception of it. So I need to shift my perception. And we can make a list, and I have mine, and I know you have yours, but Rob, and that's the line that goes with that generally, here's a list of all the things that are wrong or bad that have occurred in my life or that are showing up in my world. Okay, it's your list, and some things you'll be ready to change, particularly in the stuff that happened before, because you can't change what's happening next, by the way, other than how I think about now. Having said that, what in my past can I take and put into this process? This experience in the past has no power on me. It's done. I can't change it. It occurred. Thank you, God. Now, why the thank you? It got me to where I am right now. I can't get anywhere if I'm not right here. So now I can take this past and change it from bad, and if you're not ready to name it, good, and there's a few on my list, I'm not ready to go there yet. But I just name it is. It just occurred. That was part of my experience. Okay. I was on board a submarine, and we were in the South China Seas. And when there's 200 guys on a submarine designed for 100, it gets a little ripe, just a hair. And so the decision was made that all the Marines were going over the side because we needed to clear out the boat and you guys needed to wash down. Okay. Now, can I humbly point out the South China Sea has no bottom? Not that you can stand on anyway. And there are sharks that live there. Just saying. So to help us as we go through this experience, we'll put sailors, Navy guys, on the front end aft, bow and aft of the ship, with Thompson submachine guns. See, you're all doing what I'm doing, right? And they're going to do what? It was what we call the "See, Mom, I'm safe" clause. Yeah, right. But the mental set was, we're here to protect you. No. Fortunately, no sharks came and nobody got ate. It was kind of fun. But the mental act, just in this group of young men of which I was a party, some of them jumped in the ocean and said, oh, this is just way too much fun. Other ones said, you're throwing me in because I'm not getting in that pond. And they did. It was okay. And others held really close. So there was a combination of fear, angst, anger for being thrown in the water, joy for being out of that submarine. All these emotions, all from the same experience. And that's my point. You see, all of us look at an experience from our perspective. But it's only one experience. And behind that one, when I'm willing to pull it back, is God. Regardless of appearance, I am there. Good is there. And so conservation is about what? Mindfully applying your spiritual resources, put together, aware, awaken, and say, okay, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. Because I will be filled overflowing. And I know that is another lesson. Okay? The challenge comes in is it's easy for me to look at my world and love some parts of it. No, I said some because you're a list, right? The challenge is to look inward and love me first. So when you find yourself going, that's when you take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. And to this body temple, to this picture that you hold of you, right where you are, right here and right now, with all the experiences that brought you to this point in time, to that picture I say, I love you. Together, I love you. Breathe. As a result of every experience that brought me to right here and right now, to this body picture, I say, I bless you. Together. I bless you. Breathe. To every experience that brought me to this point in time. I appreciate you together. I appreciate you. Then I breathe and I open. And to each and every one of God's children, including me, I say, I behold the Christ. Together, I behold the Christ. You just changed your world.
Thank you for listening. Please feel free to pass this message along to your friends and family. You can obtain additional audio tapes or CDs by visiting our website or by calling our office at 541-772-6902. We invite you to join us in prayer. We know that prayer works, and now you can send your prayer request to our prayer team here at Christ Unity Church by using the form on our website. The activities, programs, and services of this ministry are presented on a love offering basis. All gifts, regardless of size, are gratefully accepted. You may participate either by sending your gift to Christ Unity Church, 540 North Holly Street, Medford, Oregon, 97501, or by visiting us on the internet at www.unitymedford.org.